Welcome back. Last week, we discussed how generative AI can be used either via a web user interface or be built into a software application. In this week, we'll take a look at how many amazing software applications are being built using generative AI. And we'll also take a look at some technology options that go beyond just prompting and that allow you to do much more with generative AI. For example, having it operate on your own proprietary documents rather than just on what is learned from public sources on the internet. Let's take a look. We saw last week a few examples of generative AI applications, such as writing answers to questions that may require access to information about your company's parking policy in this example, or reading restaurant reviews on the internet to help with reputation monitoring, or building a chatbot to help take food orders. It turns out that while some applications like this did exist and were built before the rise of generative AI has made building these applications much easier and in many cases has made them work much better as well. Let me illustrate with the example of reading restaurant reviews for reputation monitoring. A few years ago, if you wanted to build a system for reading restaurant reviews, it would have taken writing a lot of software code that looks like this, pages and pages of software that you would need machine learning engineers to write. And specifically, the process of building a restaurant reputation monitoring review system would have looked like this. You would use supervised learning, that's that technology that maps from inputs A to outputs B. And if I were building the system, I would start by collecting maybe a few hundred or a few thousand data points with examples like this. I would have a review, best soup dumplings ever eaten. That sounds delicious, and label that as a positive review. The colorful tablecloths made me smile. That's positive, or not worth the 3-month wait. That'd be a negative review. And the process of building the system would involve first getting labeled data, then finding an AI team to help train an AI model on the data to learn how to output positive or negative depending on different inputs A. And then finally, you might have to find a cloud service like AWS or Google Cloud or Azure to deploy and run the model so that when you then input best bubble tea I've ever had, that would hopefully recognize this as having a positive sentiment. And this process would often take months. In contrast, if you were to use prompt-based development, this is the code you would need to develop a sentiment classifier. First, here's how I would specify a prompt in code. My prompt, which I've set equal to 2 parts of text. There's the instruction text, classify the following review as having the positive or negative sentiment. And then here is the review text. And after specifying the prompt in code, I just need 1 line of code to call the large language model to get a response back. And then I'm going to have it display or print the response. So this is pretty much all the code it takes to build such a system. And in fact, in the next video, I'll share with you an optional exercise where you can try out this code yourself. Whereas with the traditional approach to building a sentiment classifier using supervised learning, the timeline for the project might have been a month to get, say, 1,000 labeled examples with 1,000 reviews and the positive and negative labels. After collecting the data, it might have taken a team, say, 3 months to train the AI model on data, and then another 3 months to deploy it and make sure it's running well and it's rugged and robust. I don't know if this seems like a long time to you, but for many really good machine learning teams that I've worked with, this 6 to 12 month timeline was pretty realistic for what it took to build and deploy a valuable AI model. And this worked, and this was very valuable for a lot of applications, but this just took a long time. In contrast, for prompt-based AI, this is what it feels like. You can specify a prompt in minutes or maybe hours, and then deploy the model in hours or maybe days. So there are now many applications that have previously taken me and very good machine learning teams maybe 6 to 12 months to build, that today, I think there are millions of people around the world that can now build in maybe days or a week. And this is fantastic because this lowering of the barrier to entry to building such applications is leading to a flourishing of a lot more AI applications. With one important caveat, which is that, as we discussed last week, generative AI tends to work much better for unstructured data like text and images and audio. But with that admittedly important caveat, the number of AI applications built on top of generative AI is just letting the community do much more than ever before. In the next optional video, I'd like to invite you to try out some codes with me for reading restaurant reviews and classifying sentiment. It's fine if you've never seen or written a line of code before in your life, but I'm hoping to convey to you how little code is needed to do this now and let you try it out yourself. So I hope you take a look, though also feel free to skip it if you wish, and after that, we'll come back and talk about what building a generative AI software project feels like when we talk about the life cycle of a generative AI project.